According to Walk Score, there are 20,000 cities in the U.S., which you can see here. Each data point is a different city. With 79% of the population living in or near one of these dots, that's a very big deal. These are from the U.S. Department of Transportation. That's my source for those facts. Urban sprawl is a danger to our society because it has detrimental effects on our productivity as a population. In this speech, I will explain what urban sprawl is, why it's such a drain on our resources, and then one major thing that we can do to combat this growing problem in our country. Urban sprawl is a major problem in our society today, as I said before. Rapid urbanization combined with uncontrolled urban growth in urban areas ill prepared for these challenges leads to what is known as urban sprawl. I found this in an article by a man named Van Resberg and his partner Campbell. Los Angeles. This is a picture of Los Angeles. Los Angeles, Phoenix, Albuquerque, Salt Lake City, Houston, Dallas, Atlanta. Big cities like this are the cities that we think of when we think of urban sprawl. Urban sprawl can also be smaller cities as well. But the urban sprawl is also caused by the ineffective use of land and urban infrastructure. That's again from the same sources before. But the biggest thing about urban sprawl is that it cuts down on productivity, as you can see here from this cartoon here. This is a cartoon representing urban sprawl. Even down here in Munson, you can see like most of these things down the streets. Everything packed tightly together. The main thing about urban sprawl on productivity is that it creates an insufficient amount of homes in and around the city area, which creates an issue where the workers find it harder to commute to their jobs. People living in the suburbs don't have enough housing, and then that's a problem because then it'll be even more difficult for people to actually come to the city and work in the city itself instead of companies in the city moving out to the suburbs where it's easier. That creates zones in cities that are completely abandoned and are not in use, which causes greater greenhouse emissions to be bottled up in the city and urban area. According to scientific findings in this article that I found called Urban Sprawl and Productivity, Evidence from U.S. Metropolitan Areas, they use scientific algorithms and formulas to actually define what productivity is. And they found that urban sprawl is negatively associated with the average labor productivity. That was from 3 authors named Fala, Patridge, and Ofer. That article was from multiple universities. They did a study together from multiple countries, in fact. Okay, now that we discussed what urban sprawl actually is, we're going to look at what we can do to combat this drain in our society. But before I do that, I can show you 2 different images. These are satellite images. On the left here shows the image in 1979, before a lot of cities were growing to their full potential. In 2000, you can see these areas right here. The lighter areas are the areas where the city has grown out, like way past its boundary. And then that's another cause why urbanization happens. And then, as I was talking before, the lack of houses. And then this is an example of an urban edge. Urban edges don't have to be in large cities. This is a small city. It is called Plettenberg Bay. But an urban edge is a type of urban management structure limiting the extent to which a city can grow. Implementing this can limit the amount that a city grows and how much the city sprawls out into the surrounding area. These urban edges make a city more compact and limits the urban sprawl. This line right here shows the new urban edge. Outside here is where the city was going to grow, but in order to keep the city more compact, they made this boundary here. And then that way, people will be closer to their jobs. It'll be less commute time. So overall, the city will be much more efficient in regards to greenhouse gases and things like that, because more people will use local transportation like subways and trains and trolleys, things like that, instead of cars. And then even a lot more people would bike or walk to work. So overall, it's an urban edge solves that, solves a city growing out beyond its means, and it solves like the amount of resources that a city needs to grow. And then a city with an urban edge is more sustainable due to reduced greenhouse emissions and a more sensible use of non-renewable resources, as reported in that same article by Van Rensburg and Campbell. In closing, urban sprawl is a serious problem facing the United States and the world as a whole. It can be mitigated by the effective use of urban edges, as you can see here. Urban sprawl needs to be mitigated in order to increase the productivity of our overall society. Thank you for your time.